What's up, everybody? This is another episode of my favorite episode of. Today it's just me. You get to hang out with just me. And there's a reason for that. Julie's just MIA. We can't find her. She didn't show up. That's what happens when you think you're the talent. But anyway, we have a super special guest today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, darling. It's a pleasure. I love your show.
Oh, have you listened?
I'm a big fan.
You are.
I am.
Which ones do you like?
I'm laughing because you copied my accent.
I know. I was like, am I talking in a British accent? It's a Cockney accent.
I can't. That,
Okay,
that
keep going.
killed me. I couldn't keep it together.
Keep going.
So I love The Haunting on Hill House. It's so good.
Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, it's a common mistake, I'm sure. I also just loved your episode Friends. That was a good one.
Sure.
I'm a big Friends girl.
And what's your name again?
My name? I'm
not
Hannah
my
Montana.
name. That's not my name. Okay, actually, I'm the host and Julie is the guest because guess what? This is her 50th episode. And Julie has done 50 amazing episodes. I'm so lucky they asked me to be a co-host. This is such a fun thing.
It's been so fun with you.
Thank you for saying that.
Home is wherever I'm with you.
It's true. Laka. Okay, so what show are you choosing?
So this was tough because
Julie's
I
gonna
have
pick
so
her-
many favorite shows.
This episode is titled Julie's favorite episode of.
Yeah, we want everyone to be on their feet, and they're like, "What is she gonna pick?"
Stay on your feet.
I tried to not pick a show that we already talked about because Game of Thrones is big on my list, but I was like, nah. We just talked about Friends, so I was like, nah. So I chose Stranger Things.
Love it.
Season 4. Oh, just kidding. Season 1, episode 4, The Body.
A great episode.
Oh, 100%.
A truly great episode. But I am interested. See, these types of shows I think of as like, okay, season 1 is its own thing for me. Like I would never be able to remember a specific episode of Stranger Things. So I've been dying to ask why this one specifically.
So I picked this episode because this is when shit really hits the fan.
True.
So I didn't watch Stranger Things when it first came out. I saw everyone posting about it, obviously, and I was like, this is not going to be something that I'm into. So like, I'm not even giving it the time of day kind of thing. And then one of my friends at work was like, you have to watch Stranger Things. It's so good. I didn't actually start watching Stranger Things till season 3 was already out.
Wow.
Yeah. And then like I was sucked in immediately. But this episode of season 1 like really sucked me in because I was torn between this episode and the episode before this episode, episode 3, because I love the whole thing where Will's mom realizes that he's still alive and the ABCs on the wall with the lights lighting up. It's so good. But I chose this one because you find out that Will's not actually dead and like everyone starts getting on the same page that like something's wrong and they need to like work together to figure out where Will is and like how they can save him.
The show is like, so my favorite movie ever, if I have to choose one, I always say Stand By Me.
Mm-hmm.
And this is so Stand By Me vibes. I mean, it's little kids coming of age, and it just so happens that this is called The Body, and Stand By Me is based off Stephen King's book The Body. But I wish it wasn't so mainstream almost. Like I wish Stranger Things was like a little thing that we could all like hold and own. Like I'm wearing a Stranger Things shirt right now because my mom got it for me from Hot Topic like during season 1. But I feel like it's not really that cool to like Stranger Things anymore, and I wish it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Do you get that vibe or no?
I mean, not really. I think it's just because like nothing more has been done with like the next season of Stranger Things, so like it's kind of like on the bottom of the list of people talking about it.
Sure.
And now with COVID and everything, it's getting pushed back even longer, so I think it's just kind of being like put on the back burner. But when I was younger, I loved the movie Now and Then. I mean, I still do now. And this gives me like such like you said, like Stand By Me and like Now and Then vibes. Like the friend group in this show, like the boys are just so fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're such nerds, but I just love them. So I'm just like, I don't know. Like, and it was weird. So I completely re-binged season 1 when I knew we were going to talk about this. And it's just weird seeing like how babies they are
Such
compared to now. Yeah.
And honestly, like, good for them because they're great.
Mm-hmm.
And I always said, like, I'm interested to see Millie Bobby Brown in something. I've never seen her in anything else. I haven't seen like Jurassic World or whatever movie she was in. It was like Godzilla or something, because she's great. And of course she's like, what, 11 in this? I'm saying 11 because that's her name, but
yeah,
I'm
she's
like
probably like 16 now.
Yeah, but like, and she's great, but all of her acting is physical acting, facial acting. She says what, 30 words the entire like season. So I don't know. I would be interested to see her in something else. And she's like so grown up now. It's crazy. They have to do a time jump for season 4. I feel like, because like, no, I don't want to spoil it. But okay, what is Stranger Things about?
So Stranger Things is about a small town similar to like, I must say this show's kind of like the movie It too. Like there's something wrong with their town.
Yep.
It's the friend group is Mike, Will, Dustin, Luca, and Lucas. In the beginning episode, Will goes missing. So like it starts out like you're sucked in because you're like, what the fuck happened to Will?
Yeah.
And basically you find out that there's this other world called the Upside Down, which is basically like their town, but it's just fucking crazy. Like I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like there's monsters eating kids and just fucking wild. I
remember watching this for the first time and loving where it's like, okay, what happened to Will? It's almost like Twin Peaks, like who killed Laura Palmer? It's like, where's Will? That's like the big question. Where'd he go? And then also 11 pops up and you're like, who the fuck is this girl? And then how are they relevant to each other? And waiting until the storylines converge is so lit. And 11's character is so fucking iconic. Like just, I mean, in this episode, they dress her up for the first time. Or was that in 3? I can't remember, but I watched 1 through 4. This is episode 4 of the season. I didn't go past that, but when they dress her up and she looks at herself and she just goes, pretty. I'm like, yay!
I know.
It is so fucked up every time they show her getting like tested or like experimented on.
Yeah, so 11 is like, just like you said, iconic. She's like she probably is what sucked me in the most, because I was just like, I need to know her deal. Like, what is her? And the way that they tie it in, like, obviously, if you haven't watched Stranger Things, stop right here and just watch it.
10 minutes ago.
yeah, because I already probably spoiled a lot. But when you find out like who she is, and like the mom, well, not even the mom, the world thinking that the mother miscarried, and they actually like
and she's
took her.
Crazy because of that.
It's just like so crazy, because I remember watching like episode 1 where you get flashbacks of 11 and she keeps calling like the scientist guy Papa. So you're like I was like, oh, it's her dad, like obviously.
He's fucked up. He is like taking advantage of her. It's sick. It's honestly sick when she like kills those 2 guys and she's so scared and he just like picks her up and she feels comfort, obviously, because that's all she knows. But that is so fucked up, like beyond fucked up.
I know. And just like this episode is also the beginning of Mike and 11, which I just like fucking ride for Mike.
Do you think it's a little weird that we're like obsessed with these 11-year-olds trying to kiss? I'm like, yes, young love, baby.
I know.
Well, it's more this. Lucas is such a dick. Like, Dustin is the cute, stupid, like, funny guy who, like, he'll believe anything, whatever. But Lucas is a dick in season 1. I'm like, come on. But I like how Mike immediately loves her and is like, this is... yeah, I'm here for this. Like, I love that. They immediately click, but... and
he's, like, so awkward. Like, when they first dress her up like a girl with, like, the wig and everything, he's like, you look pretty. And then does, like, the, like, typical 11-year-old thing where he's in front of his friends. He's like, good, pretty good.
Yeah, it's so cute. Pretty.
I know. They're so cute.
It is funny how I can't help. So, again, if you... don't watch Stranger Things, this is insane that you're still listening, but basically they're treating her as if she's an alien. Like they'll say like, friends don't do this, and she goes, friends? Like she doesn't know what any words are. But then in my brain, I can't help but think like when they're explaining to her what a friend is, I'm like, she's not gonna know any of those words either. What does this mean? Like what? Like it's such a weird concept to me, and I get distracted by. I'm like, if she doesn't know what friends means, she doesn't know what they don't tell lies. They don't do this. They don't do that. It's like, how do you explain anything to this little dummy? This little cute little dummy.
Stop.
She's so cute. I love the videos of her in real life getting her head shaved.
I've never
You ever see
seen
it?
them,
Yeah, it's cute because she's like a
'Cause she's,
young
like,
girl,
little,
and
yeah.
she like just went in for it for the show
For the
first
fame.
role.
She's doing what she
do it
can.
for the fame, baby. Do it for
Yeah.
the vine. But no, she like buzzed her head. I've seen the video on her Instagram. I
Oh
think.
my god, I gotta watch it.
She was an overnight star, and Finn, who plays Michael, is like in every single show that needs a kid. He's in it now. It's
I
insane.
love him. He plays one of the kids in It too.
Yeah.
And he was my favorite character.
Yeah, he's that for a lot of things. He's also like a kid in The 100 for an episode. He was an overnight star too. Dustin was Gavroche in Les Mis, so I think they plucked him from Broadway. I don't know about Lucas if he was in anything other than that.
Yeah, I haven't seen Lucas.
Ooh, you know what he was in? He was in either a movie or like a music video where he was dancing. Like he's a really good dancer. I think it's a movie. I can't think of it.
And I think Will is kind of popping off now too, isn't he? Noah Schnapp or something, or not
I
really?
don't know. He kind of grew up to be a little bit of a noob, I think.
Oh, is he?
I don't know. I'm just
Did you
judging.
make that up? Or
I
is
think
that
I
true?
did. I think I did. I think I made that up. But Steve has a brand new movie coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm going to watch it. I can't tell you anything about it. I forget.
Steve is such a hottie boy in season 1.
Steve is a hottie boy in season 1, but he's more charming in 2 and 3.
Yeah.
They realized what they had in him, I think, because they made him a dick, and then they were like, this guy's super cool IRL. So then in 2 and 3, like, Dustin and Steve's storyline in 3 is the best.
Oh, it's so
like
good.
it could just be its own show. I
Yep.
don't even need the two storylines to converge. They could just be their own show. I
Yeah.
do not care.
Yeah, 100, I would agree with that 100%.
It's lit, right?
Yeah, and I think Nancy and Will's brother date in real life.
They do. And I love that because when they hook up in season 3, I'm like, yes!
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a little like unconventionally, like in season 1, I wouldn't, like, especially episodes 1 through 4, like he's like an outcast. He's quote unquote a loser, although like
He's like a creepiness to him.
Yes,
He's like a lurker.
You can't help but say, okay, well, he literally was taking pictures of Nancy like getting undressed, and like that's creepy. Like you want to root
Yeah.
for him, but you can't fully. But he turns into like, normally I always go like on shows, you go for the underdog, you go for the quote unquote loser, and they're not actually losers. Like fuck Steve in season 1. What an
Yeah.
asshole. Like fuck you.
Well, I feel like
He's handsome, but fuck
Steve's
off.
problem was like he was always a good guy, but he was trying to like impress his
Yeah,
friends.
of course. Those friends are the worst.
Totally the worst.
Yeah, when they're at the lunch table and they're like making fun of them essentially banging
Yeah.
and doing the moaning sounds like, Steve, I'm like, stop.
I know.
You were in public at the lunch table. You're high schoolers. Nobody wants this.
Starring Nancy the Slut Wheeler.
I know. And I'll tell you what, there's a scene in this episode where Barb goes missing in episode 3.
Yep.
And justice for Barb, baby, because they didn't know what they had. Like Barb, people freaked out about Barb on season 1. They're like, what? You're just going to like kill the best friend that was worried about Nancy like so much, whatever. So Barb goes missing. Nancy starts to catch on that she's gone and is really worried. And, where am I going with this? What were we talking about before? Oh, so then Nancy goes and the cops are like questioning her and basically slut shaming her, and that is my least favorite thing in shows. And like it's like legit, it happens in real life where like you're worried a girl is missing, a girl who uncharacteristically, like they wouldn't not show up, and the cops are like, well, has she done this before? She probably just ran away. She's probably with a boy. She's probably this. And Nancy's like, shut the fuck up. She's
Yeah.
not. Like I know she's not, but cops tend to do the well,
Yeah.
and then they're like, well, what were you doing with Steve? And I'm like, do not slut shame my girl Nancy.
Yeah.
My sweet angel Nancy.
Like, oh God.
I
you're
love
so
her.
Right. I do love Nancy too.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, the kids are like involved where they're like, something's wrong. Like the season or episode 3 ends with them finding Will's body in a river or
The
like
feels.
lake. Yeah.
The feels.
And Mike like snaps on 11 because he's like, you lied, friends don't lie, the famous quote that friends don't lie. And then he's like, he's dead, and like poor 11 can't even like speak, but she knows that he's not dead.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 4, they kind of like come together where like they're like, okay, fuck, she wasn't wrong. Like I think it's when she plays him singing on the walkie-talkie.
Should I stay or should I go?
Yeah.
I remember watching season 1 and being like, I knew this this song previously and didn't give a fuck about that song, but now I'm like, I love this song.
Yeah.
Like they do such a good job with showing him in a flashback with his brother, listening to that song, and then the fact that he's scared in the Upside Down, and when they like channel him, he's like whispering that song to himself. I'm like, of course that would comfort him, because like fuck his dad.
Literally fuck his dad.
Yeah. So this episode opens with Hop telling Winona Ryder's character, what's her name? I can't even think, that they found a body, and she's like, no, I talked to him through the lights. Like at this point, she doesn't have the ABCDs written on the wall yet, but she has like all these lamps, all these Christmas lights.
The ABC is on the wall in episode
Joyce.
3.
Joyce, okay, either way, she's like, no, he talked to me, and it's psychotic. And okay, so she plays the grieving mother so well, and this was her like comeback story. I mean, Winona Ryder's a very famous actress, obviously, but she hadn't done anything in a while. This is her absolute comeback story. She plays the grieving mother so fucking well. And let me just tell you, I would hate to find myself in a fucking sci-fi plot, because imagine being Winona, where we are like, we as the audience know what she's going through. She's seeing all this shit happen. No one on earth would ever believe her. She's like, I know this is fucking nuts, but he's talking to me through the lights. It's like, being in a sci-fi plot fucking sucks, dude. Like, you can't talk your way through this at all. Even poor Jonathan, like, just wants to grieve his brother, and he has to deal with his mom. I mean, that's the whole relationship with Will, Jonathan, and Joyce anyway. Like, she's a single mother. She's working all the time. The whole reason when he went missing is because Jonathan picked up an extra shift for extra money. Like, they need money. It's like a whole thing. He always feels like he's the man of the house. He's taking care of Winona, Joyce anyway. So sad. Like, I feel for Jonathan so hard, where it's like, that's why this episode rocks, because everyone's like him and Nancy are coming to the terms where it's like, oh shit, there's a monster. Everyone, Hop realizes it's a monster. The kids realize it's a monster. So you just need them all to converge into one storyline, which is lit.
Exactly why I picked it, because especially when in this episode, when Hop breaks into where they keep the bodies and he cuts him open and it's filled with like stuffing, you're just like that. I was like, so like, I'm fucking in. Where is Will? What is going on?
When he takes that breath before he cuts his like chest sternum open or whatever the fuck, it is so intense, because he's like, am I really gonna slice this kid open? Like, am I in this such disbelief? I love when he's at the bar and he's questioning that guy and being like, yo, like, blah blah blah, like, what's up, dude? Like buttering him up, buys him a beer, gets to the bottom of it, and then just beats the shit out of him after. I'm like, Hop is a badass.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I know. Hop is a really good character too. Even like, not to steer off of our next seasons, but like when he like takes in 11 and like takes care of her in season 2, like, it's just so good. I love like even at the end of season 1 where we like find out that she's still alive by him putting the waffles in.
Love
it's
that.
just so good.
Her in that dress with like a bloody nose and no wig on, with a box of Eggos in her hand, like when she goes in that grocery store and just fucks everything up, it's so good.
Dude,
she's awesome.
That was like the Halloween costume that everyone was.
Oh my
and
God.
it sucks so bad because it's such a good one, but just everyone was
well,
like...
that's what I meant earlier by like, it's like not even that cool to like Stranger Things, but the reason it's so mainstream, sci-fi shows like this don't usually get mainstream, is why if this one feels different to me, so I watch every sci-fi show in the world.
Yeah.
No one gets an entire section of Hot Topic. Yeah. But Stranger Things does. It's like Harry Potter, Stranger Things, Nightmare Before Christmas, all this anime shit, and then Rick and Morty. Yeah. like it's it's a very popular show. This is like a very mainstream sci-fi show, which I love, because sci-fi is the best.
Yeah.
More people should love sci-fi shows. It's great.
This is actually an episode about sci-fi.
I know.
We're promoting it. But yeah. So, fire episode.
If you had to pick your favorite character in the show besides, it can't be 11.
Okay.
Who is it and why?
My favorite character of this show that is not 11.
Stalling. What a stall tactic.
Way.
What a stall tactic. My British guest.
Yeah. I would say that it's Hopper.
He's so good.
Because he's so badass. Like, he's so, like, stern with the kids. Like, in this episode, or maybe it's episode after, like, he's just, like, always yelling at them, just being like, just shut up and, like, come with me.
But such a teddy bear.
And, like, he genuinely like cares so much. Like we get flashbacks of what happened with his daughter in season 1.
Ugh.
It's just like so heartbreaking, and like I don't know, I just love how much he actually cares. Like they kind of portray him as like he's banging the librarian, he's passed out drunk on his couch, all like shit like that. Where like, oh, he's like kind of like a slop, but then you really like get more of him in season 1, and then obviously in the next seasons, and he's just the bomb.
I totally agree, and like again, don't listen to this if you close your ears for 10 seconds if you haven't seen through season 3. But the Hop reveal at the end was devastating. I mean, devastating. I'm so mad they already revealed that he's not dead. Like, that's such a...
Well, apparently they did at the very end of the season finale of season 3. I didn't see it either.
Wait, the like Russian...
Yes,
like,
they
have him like chained up or something, right?
They spoil that he's still alive at the end of season 3. At the very end after the credits. I didn't see that.
I think I saw that, but like in a Facebook clip. Like I think I saw that in a Facebook clip, people being like, did you miss this? That's such a they like showed their hand. Come on, that's so lit. Like, so
the scene, they don't physically show him, it's just them walking around in like a Russian cell block, and they say go get the American.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then everyone's like, well, obviously that's Hopper.
Yeah, and that's fine, but I just think like if they did kill off Hop, which he's one of the best parts of the show, so I would advise against it, but it's like they went there, so you might as well make it a cliffhanger. And we all obviously know he's not gonna die, but like maybe he did, who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know. Part of why I love Stand By Me is because I'm like, for a day I would love to just be like a ratty 11-year-old fucking talking about going to find a dead kid and buying a glass bottle of Coke that cost me like 7 cents, you know what I mean? Like in the 60s where you're just like, the parents don't even know where these fucking kids are. Like, it would be cool to live for that, like that for exactly one day. And now I'm like, absolutely not. Could you imagine living in this, like, I don't know, like I'm watching the show and I love it to death, but because it's cool to watch a different era, a different like small town vibe. But it's like, fuck, I'm so glad I didn't grow up in something like this.
I don't know. I think about like, you're saying Stand By Me, I'm saying like now and then, like, that, like, dude, the fucking glass bottle of soda.
I know. It makes I love Now and Then too. Now and Then is the girl version of Stand By Me.
Yeah, and just like being able to just like playing in the neighborhood with your neighbors. Like,
yeah,
we were like that when we were younger. Like, I feel like we were always outside. We were always walking places. Like, totally different world. But like we still, whereas like kids don't do that now. My niece doesn't walk anywhere.
Yeah, we used to walk to a lot of places, me and you. But
Girl,
we were also
and
like...
it was freezing. You remember those cold winter nights?
I do remember that. But we were also 14, like, in our town, which is, like, different than... This is why Will went missing, because it was fucking 8 p.m. and dark out, and he was riding his bike from his friend's house, and it's like... I get it, but it's dangerous. I was just listening to a podcast and someone was saying this, like, they grew up in those times, and now that they're an adult, like a dad, they're like, I would fucking never let my kid do what I did as a kid. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
And is that because people are more aware of the dangers, or is it because it's more dangerous? Like, what do you think?
Probably a mixture of both, because I feel like kids definitely went missing like back in the day.
Oh,
it wasn't
hell
it wasn't like it didn't happen, but I think also probably like media wise, like the media wasn't as big that at that time, where like when you watch the news now or even just like scroll through Facebook, you see like 20 posts about different missing kids and shit like that, where like I just think it's probably hasn't changed like the amount of kids that have gone missing and stuff like that, but I think that it was just more like parents were much more like they didn't think about stuff like that, whereas like I think I said this before on the podcast, but like my pop-up scared me so bad. When I used to walk home from school, I would hide behind bushes when cars would drive by because I thought I was gonna get kidnapped.
Well, it's funny because I been trying to get my steps in recently, and the other night I didn't realize that the sun is now setting at 7:30 instead of 8:30 or whatever it is. So I got home kind of late, so I decided that I wasn't going to do my long walk. I would just walk around my block a million times. And again, we live in like a very safe neighborhood, like as safe as it could be, like in this dark, scary world. But I was bopping around, and my mom was out front. Like every time I would loop around, she was out there being like, be careful, and I was like, shut up, Mom, I'm 27, like it's fine. And you know, like it's a short block. So I was walking around and I was like cranking it like so many times, and I hit the halfway mark on my last one, and all of a sudden chills down my spine. I could not get home fast enough. For some reason, I went around 10 times with not an ounce of even noticing what was around me. And then on the last one, I was like, oh fuck. I was looking behind me every 10 seconds, and then I was like, okay, this is psychotic. Because what happened was the very midway around my block, one of the house, like their sensor lights kept going on and off and on and off, but nothing was there. And I was like, you're fucking kidding. Like, you're absolutely kidding. There's no shot.
I would have been scared. I would have been running, and I don't even run.
I was like speed walking, and I had my headphones in, and it was like blasting loud music, and I had to turn it off because I was like, I need to stay vigilant.
Yes.
No way. Yeah. I will not be Will Byers.
No, I'm telling you. You better just...
Have you ever seen The Devil's Knot?
No.
Okay, peep those ears. This is something for Matt, producer Matt, also Kenny and Julie. This is for you two because it is starring Reese Witherspoon, but it's a horror type thing. So
is it
Devil's
old?
Knot, 2015, 2014 maybe. The Devil's Knot is based on, I might butcher this, but I think it's called the West Memphis 3 maybe. So back in the day, in West Memphis, I don't fucking know. I've seen the documentary, like it's based on a true story. I'm gonna butcher this, so please bear with me. It's been years since I've seen it, but I loved it. It's starring Reese Witherspoon. Her son and I think another kid go missing because they were just out riding their bikes, whatever. And they go missing, and then the whole movie is trying to figure out who did it, and they're blaming it on like satanic like teenagers who like worship the devil and stuff. But and they literally got, no, this is not a spoiler because it's like the whole movie. They get arrested for it, but it's still kind of like an unsolved case because it's like one of those cases where the town and the police need to pin someone. They need to get their guy. They need to calm the town by blaming somebody, like even if it's not the right somebody. So they throw these. Oh, the 3 kids are the West Memphis 3 are the satanic worshipers. That's what it is. But they're just like teenagers that listen to screamo and have like fucking like they're pretty brutal. But I mean, I don't think they did it. It's a really good movie. It just reminds me of like back in the day, probably in the 70s, kids are just like riding their bikes and all of a sudden they don't come home for dinner and you're like, fuck. But it's really good. Me and Julia watched it and we were home alone and we could not deal for the rest of the night. Like we were so scared for the rest of the night. It's just so creepy because it's based on a real story. There's no like there's no jump scares. Yeah. It's not like a fucking...
No, that's what scares me when they're based on true stories. I'm like, fuck that.
I know.
At least like other ones I could be like, this isn't real.
Yeah. It's like the fucking Paranormal Activity. Like, oh, nope, it's fake. It's a ghost. No way.
I'm not watching
I know.
this.
But anyway, Stranger Things. But I thought maybe I could recommend that too because it's Reese Witherspoon and then Kenny likes scary movies.
Yeah, but I'll have like actual nightmares.
Yeah, it's
I hate that shit.
Anyway,
Stranger Things. Dude, how do we get to where we get? So basically the reason we got here was talking about that 60s, 70s nostalgia that you get when you watch these shows. And I honestly think it's because we didn't get to live it. So if you think about it, like I'm sure it was great. Like my dad tells stories about when he was younger and I'm just like, dude, you lived in a totally different fucking world. Yep. Like 100%. But also we have to think about like how high school is portrayed in movies where it seems like it's like this fucking wild crazy thing, like parties, like flyers get handed out for parties and they're thrown in the hallways and it's just like not a shot. The Aston cops would be at our house literally all day. So I'm sure it's probably like portrayed a lot cooler than it actually was, but we also just like didn't really get to like live it. So we obviously have FOMO when we watch this. Like I know I have FOMO just from watching the movie Grease because I'm just like I belong in this time.
What was the Wild West? Like you could get away with murder back in the day, like literally murder, or just like smoking cigs and walking up and down the hallways.
Yeah, and a leather jacket.
Yeah, hell yeah,
T-birds.
with a swirl in your hair and like yeah. But I don't know. Anyway, back to Stranger Things. This was a great episode. I wouldn't have been able to pick. If I were you, I would have cheated and been like, okay, it's just all
We're talking season one. Well,
yeah.
I figured we probably would talk about season one, and we've referenced it, like what happens, and we kind of spoiled that. Like you find out they make it seem like 11 dies, or it's like taken to like the I almost said the unknown. The upside down, yeah.
The unknown.
Obviously at the end it's Christmas, which God, when I was rewatching this, I was like, let's fucking go. The holidays, give it to me all.
Yeah.
Like, it's Christmas Eve, it's snowing. I don't know where like a lot of you guys are, but like it's probably snowed on Christmas Eve once since I've been alive. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Like all I want is a white Christmas Eve, and it's always like 60 degrees.
I
And
know.
like I'll still wear like a sweater and be like, oh, like pictures, like, and I'm sweating. I'm like literally sweating, dying, but I'm like, it's fine.
The letters on the wall and the Christmas lights is so cool. It really is. Like, I remember watching that and just being like, so fucking dope when they're like, Winona's like, where are you? And he writes right here. And then she's asking more questions and he just puts run. I'm like, get the fuck out of there. Like, go. But it always confused me because the whole thing is obviously improbable, but
like when he's in the wall.
when he's in the wall and then she gets a hatchet and fucking
Yeah.
talk about summer reading books. Hatchet.
Speaking of, oh
but
my
anyway.
God, I'm about to read that.
I know, right? Brian's Winter or whatever the sequel was called. But anyway, so like I didn't truly understand that part. Like if there's a monster, sure. If there's an upside down, sure. But like in the wall and he just like randomly pops out and pats out. I'm like,
Well, it's weird because like we see the part where like in the woods the like unknown forms in a tree, and
yeah.
then disappears. So like it seems like it can just kind of happen wherever the fuck it wants to happen.
Yeah.
So I guess in some ways like you gotta respect that it's a show and like it's not all gonna make sense. But the wall thing really did like kind of piss me off because I'm like, you're gonna put a sledgehammer through the wall that you just like kind of saw your son in, which like I'd probably do the same thing.
yeah, you're gonna crack him in the skull. Like I thought the same thing. I'm like, well, don't hit him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's just a crazy mom that knows her kid's alive. And again, we're going to hop off of this specific episode. But when she finds him and he has that freaking slug thing in his mouth, oh my God. And he's like dead basically in the wall. It is so heartbreaking. And then like they're pumping his stomach and Hopper's having flashbacks of them doing that to his daughter. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
make it
in this
stop.
episode when Hop's at the bar and the guy, he's like, yeah, my daughter won the spelling bee. She won on this word, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, your daughter got a name, and his whole demeanor changes. Like, I couldn't even imagine that trauma. And like, if I was him, I wouldn't be like using that as a fake alias situation because like, someone is going to ask a question and then he gets fucking hot about it.
He's like, what?
Yeah.
Your daughter? Does she have a name? Like,
Yeah.
that guy's not innocent anyway, but like he's innocent in that situation.
Honestly, I wish they didn't. I'm torn. I think they might have, because I think it's episode 2 when they're in the woods looking for Will and someone like a search party, and someone asks him like, "Oh, you got any kids?" And he's like, "Yeah, she's in the city with her mom." And then another cop or someone comes up and just says like, "She passed away." Like his daughter died, whatever. And I'm like, I'm torn between, should they have kept that from us until the end of the season to kind of keep it a mystery of like this, whatever,
What's the situation with his daughter?
or do you tell it then so then we have a like heartfelt with Hop, because Hop is kind of like
He's like
he's
a
got
dick
rough
in the
edges
beginning, yeah.
and like he's being a dick, so I guess it does soften him up a little bit, but it's not like he ever talks about it really.
No.
I love Hop though.
Yeah, and I also love that like you get kind of like a flashback to that like him and Joyce used to be like a thing when they were younger.
I know.
Love when they add that in when like the parents are like involved with like they all stay in the small town. They've always been there kind of thing.
Well, I do love, contrary to what I said before about small towns, I do like watching something and in a small town where like Lonnie, Joyce's ex, is like, is Hop still the chief over there, whatever, because it's like small town, everyone knows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get it. Like even the teacher in this episode, when he sees 11, he's like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
But it's like,
yeah, he's like, where are you from? She's like, bad place.
that's really funny.
Dude,
I love that bit.
I know.
It's good.
And what did they say? Nebraska or something?
Sweden.
It's Sweden.
Because I guess she has blonde hair, and they're like, Sweden, yep.
Yep.
Cousin, yep, yeah, like whatever.
She doesn't like the cold. Like,
Yeah, really, Sub-Zero, he says. I like that they gave 11 these powers, but she has nosebleeds every time because it's like, okay, she can't just use these powers whenever she wants.
Yep.
Like, she's suffering from it.
Yep.
And I love when she makes that kid pee his pants.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. And she just, like, wipes her nose and walks off. And Mike's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
love this girl.
Dude, them dating is the best.
I don't even. So I've seen season 1 and 2 multiple times because I watched it through. I watched season 1, and then I watched season 1 before season 2 came out, and then I watched season 1 and 2 before season 3 came out. So I've seen it a bunch, but I don't remember 2 or 3. The thing from 2 I remember is when she's like, bitchin'. She has 11 on her, and that's because there's like 10 others, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she meets like 7 or something. Yeah, I forget what number
Oh,
it is.
yes. I forgot all
And
about that.
that's like when she's dressed like a goth and she's like,
Yeah.
bitchin'.
Yeah.
I like that, but I can't remember. Is that season 2, right? 2,
Yeah.
yeah. And then 3,
Is
all
with
I
the
remember is Dustin and Steve.
Season 3, I love
Yeah.
the bit between her and the redhead, like going shopping.
Sadie.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And
And they're like trying on all, because it's based off of like the 70s, I guess.
doesn't
or
she say something at the end
80s?
like, I dump you?
Yeah.
Or something like so epic. Like, what a fucking cute ass scene, a friendship scene.
Yes.
I'm glad they added Sadie.
Sadie, yeah, I'm like the redhead.
I mean, I haven't seen it in a
Her
while.
brother is petrifying.
So petrifying. He was like the demon in season 3, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like possessed, yeah.
Yeah, he's petrifying, but people were like in love with him, and I'm like, scared.
No, definitely
scared.
not my cup of tea.
Not my cup of tea.
I always loved Steve.
It's not her cup of tea because she's British. She's English, just like Millie Bobby Brown.
Do you think that they started to like the actor who played Steve and turned him good, but that Sadie's brother was probably the original storyline for Steve?
And I've
before
had
then?
this exact same first half of this thought that they literally were like, Steve's so cool in real life and we might as well like make him good and make him a lovable character. So did they make Steve more lovable, and then Sadie's older brother in season 3 gave him the storyline that Steve would have had, which is a great thought. Because I really do think they were like, wow, the guy who plays Steve is excellent. Him and Jean-Ralphio look exactly the same, and they did this hilarious bit where they dressed exactly the same. Like, there was a bit that it was like, Steve is Jean-Ralphio's dad, as if Parks and Rec and Stranger Things are canon and in the same universe. And it was hilarious. So they took that and ran with it and like dressed the same and were acting like they were. It's a hilarious video.
I should watch it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, I think so, Matt. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's actually a good point. I would hate it if Steve was evil.
I mean, he is in season 1. Like, he's a dick. I hate when they're like talking about Barb. The friends are like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're just like, did you see fucking Barb leave her night? No, she was there.
Yeah.
That sucks. I hate the idea of like the best friend with like the girl who's just getting popular. And I do not like that storyline. But Nancy plays it decently well. I mean, it's not, I don't think Nancy plays it in a way that makes me not like her, because she obviously just has a crush on Steve. You could sub Steve with anybody, like even a sweet boy. And I think Barb would be like, just like, Nancy.
Yeah.
I liked Barb. She sucks on Riverdale.
She's on Riverdale.
Ass on Riverdale.
Oh yeah, I never finished Riverdale, but she's like into like the blue shit that she drinks, right? Her name's Ethel.
Her name is Ethel, and she's just, every time they need someone to do something bad, it's pretty much her. They're like, who did that? Oh, it's fucking Ethel again. She's back from the insane asylum. Why is she even in this season anymore?
Dude, it sucks so bad because Riverdale season 1 was so fucking good.
It was incredible, honestly. It was such a like came out of nowhere show, and they brought this like iconic comic book classic to life in like a dark way, which is so dope. And then they just buried it. Anything like all of the quirky, like unrealistic stuff from season 1 with like the cheerleading stuff and with like Madeline Pesh and like whatever was so charming. And then they just made it awful.
Yeah.
Like so awful.
Yeah, because I remember you were the one that told me to like watch it. And I was like, dude, season 1 is so good.
Yeah.
And then every season after that, trash.
Truly trash. It sucks because they really had like
They had something.
Yeah, let's talk about less of Stranger Things and more about your time as a podcast host. Let's hear about it. Has been your favorite memory from being a podcast host in your first 50 episodes?
I think my favorite moment in terms of like recording episodes, it's recent, but when we recorded Laguna Beach, we had the time of our lives.
We
had the time of our lives. And never. No, like we
that
were
was slow.
sweating down here.
Dripping in sweat.
Yeah.
Just absolutely dripping in sweat. I like anyone that it's just me and you. No offense, guests.
I know.
Honestly, the Haunting of Hill House one was my favorite only because it was the first one and I was so excited to just drink pumpkin beer at 10 a.m. with you.
Dude, I'm dying to drink a pumpkin beer, but I want to wait till September.
I can remember a lot of them blend because of when we moved down here to this room, but I loved recording Cheer with you too. I remember that day, like really specifically. But my favorite thing, you want to know what my favorite thing?
I guess it's about you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, my favorite thing about my like 38 or so episodes on this podcast is just re-becoming best friends with you, Jewel.
I know. This brought us back together.
Me and you were always the type where like we saw each other and we were thick as thieves and best friends. Didn't matter if you put 1,000 years in between. But this gives us an excuse to hang out every single week.
I know.
That's a great deal for me.
It's so true. We are like the type of friends that probably never beefed ever in our life.
No.
Like we probably had stupid 13-year-old fights, but we were like inseparable in middle school and like tight in high school, and then
Yeah, of course,
we went away
always.
to college, and then like we'd see each other and just start shooting the shit like
the same 6 stories we would run through every time we would meet up. It's like run through the gorilla story, the honey story, this, that, like all the
my
classics.
God.
Let's go through the classics and then let's make new memories, baby.
Dude, the honey story will never.
The honey is the best. Does Jamie listen to this podcast?
I don't think
Do you think
so.
she would even know the honey story?
I literally just pictured you when I was like, watch out.
Okay, I'm going to tell this story, and if anything, it's strictly for producer Matt, and he can cut it out. So here's the story.
It is so good.
We are in Jamie's room.
Yeah, we're in high school.
We're in early high school, like
Yeah.
maybe 9th grade. Jamie is a hairdresser, so she had like lots of extensions on the floor, like whatever it was, like there was just hair everywhere,
And
like fake hair.
And she also had a waxing, like, because she did
Yes,
waxing,
so
so she had a waxing pot.
Yeah, so it's me and Julie and Stephanie are on the bed, and I dropped my phone behind the bed, like against the wall behind the bed. So I hop off the bed to go around, and when I mean it is slow motion, Julie just goes, "Watch out for the honey," as I step fully in hair wax, and then I lift my foot up and stomp again, and I lift my foot up, and there is just hair and a bra stuck to my foot. But meanwhile, you can't forget, and for our listeners who don't know, Stephanie, our best friend in the whole world, gags at the sight of loose hair, like absolutely will throw up on the spot if she sees loose hair. So I lift my foot up and it is just loose hair city and a bra, and Stephanie starts gagging.
And the red carpet.
The red carpet. It is just tragedy on my foot, but Stephanie's gagging, Julie's dying laughing, I've got shit stuck to my foot, and it is just like pure chaos. Like, watch out for the honey. Like the calling it honey when it's hair
my
wax is
God.
also stupid and funny. All to find my stupid fucking phone that fell behind. It was just like such. And then Julie sat in the tub and scrubbed my foot clean because it was just rug and
Well,
hair.
Stephanie tried and was like, huh.
Yeah, she was gagging all over my feet. Oh, it was good.
It was.
The honey was classic.
We will never stop telling the honey story.
I will never. That's
Or
for
the
damn
one
sure.
time. We're gonna just, Matt, I
This is
actually want you to keep
reminiscent.
this in because it's just fitting for the 50th episode. But the one time someone, I don't know if people used to do this in your guys' like high school, but someone.
Oh, shit. I know what you're going to say. This is not that funny. It really is not.
I can't even get it out. Someone flicked a Gatorade bottle cap in the air and it was moving. Matt, listen, it was moving in slow motion. And Kathleen pointed at it and like, you know how she was mocking me with like on accident with the British accent? She was like, what is that?
But
Like she said-
unintentionally said it in actual slow motion, and Julie's the only one who witnessed it and saw it happen, even though it was a full cafeteria full of people. Literally, there's just a slow-mo orange Gatorade cap, and I'm like, what is that? And she was like, her mouth just like dropped up and was like, oh my God, why did you just say that in slow motion? And I was like, did I? Yeah, that's a good one. That was high school. That was at Sun Valley.
Kathleen, in every memory we have, like, it's her not knowing what's happening. Like, the one time we went sledding.
Oh, shit. One more for the people in the back. One more.
And if
also
this is
with
not,
Stephanie.
if this is not funny to you, I'm so sorry. Just skip past it. But the one time we went sledding, we literally went down the hill like 4 times and then just laid in the snow. We got lazy. Remember, we couldn't.
Sure.
We didn't want to keep walking up the hill to go back down. And we were walking home, and our friend Stephanie's dad dressed up
in a full gorilla suit, like
gorilla
top
suit.
to bottom, not just a mask, a full top to bottom gorilla suit, and came ripping around the fucking
and
block
me
corner.
and Kathleen were sprinting up the hill. Kathleen chucked her sled.
Okay, I thought a full gorilla was running after me, and we're 15 years old.
Who the fuck is that?
And I screamed that at her dad, and then we get. First of all, Stephanie. The minute he turned the corner, Stephanie laid dead. She played dead and just would have been eaten alive and was just like, I give up, I'm dead. And we're like, dude, if that was a real gorilla, you would have been fucking ripped to shreds.
She literally, like, we ran up the hill and she ran straight and then just collapsed on her neighbor's
Pure terror. And then her dad, who's like one of my parents' best friends, was like, you speak to your mother with that mouth? What the hell? Because I was like, who the fuck is that? As a 15-year-old.
Dude, I'll never forget.
Like,
it was so random how he timed that we were going to be walking. But how long was he standing there? I need to know.
I have no idea because we were laying in the snow for hours. He must have been just chilling in that gorilla suit waiting for a couple of gals.
My God.
He is a fire dad. Can't ask
really
for better.
is.
Bonnie too. Gotta shout out Bonnie. What a queen.
Yeah.
Slay. Woo! I can't wait to hear the end of that. I feel like the beginning of this one, we were being very legit.
Yeah.
We were like, what do you think about Stranger Things? We talked for like a good solid 20 minutes, and I think that's the most solid clip of talking about a show we've had in a long time when it's just me and you and not like having to front for a guest.
Yeah, that's true. Not having to fake it.
Without having to like cramp our fucking style.
Yeah. Like,
Yes.
let us just be free.
Yeah, come on, please.
All right, well, guess
Okay,
don't wrap
well,
it up.
again, fucking friendship, rekindling my best friendship with Jewel, even though it never went away. It's just like seeing her more often, becoming good friends with producer Bat. What a time on this podcast.
As
I
much
fucking
as
love it. Let's make it
2020 has
500.
sucked, I mean, we've made it. This benefited us.
Oh my God, hell yeah.
And it was actually really funny because, like, I was used to seeing Kathleen like once a week or once or twice every like other week, and then we had a quarantine, and I was like, I miss you so much.
I know.
Meanwhile,
Before we
went
hit
through,
play,
like,
we
4
were like,
years
I
of
fucking
college.
miss you. I know, right? Without seeing each other at all, besides like the one time you came to Penn State or like my grad party.
Yeah, good times.
Great times. And that's Stranger Things, baby. I love a good thing. I love a good
friendship.
show about
This all ties to
friendship.
friendship at the end.
Friendship, strangeness. You're kidding.
Demogorgon.
You're absolutely kidding. You better stop.
What?
Love it. I just love it.
Oh, I was like, I didn't say anything.
I don't even remember. I will say I'm such a big Stranger Things or theme song girl. Like, as you know from our one quarantine ep when we did theme songs and we sang them, that I put Game of Thrones and American Horror Story on there with no lyrics. This is one where I skip it every single time.
Yeah.
I liked it the first time, and then I was like, okay, there's no like value add to this.
Game of Thrones was such a good one.
Yeah.
Such a good pick. It's dun 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 dun.
Yeah, everyone
dun, dun,
threw
dun,
so much
dun,
shade
dun,
about my
dun,
American
dun.
Horror Story, though.
Yeah, because that literally, I will zoom past that if I can. It's like.
Anyway, that was another episode. That was Julie's 50th episode. Bitches.
50
Fucking bitches,
and
baby.
thriving.
50, flirty, and thriving.
Yes.
Hoes. You hoes.
What the fuck is happening?
It's like, it's the wine. It's the wine.
Blame it on the alcohol.
This has been My Favorite Episode Of. My Favorite Episode Of is produced by Matt Kelly as part of the Geekscape Network and hosted by Julie and Kathleen. Check out our show notes for all of our socials and email us at myfavoriteepisodepodcast@gmail.com. Rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting apps, and we'll be back next week with another episode of My Favorite Episode Of.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.